Dr. Badie, Dina Badie from the Politics and International Studies program, and I'm here for a special sabbatical edition of Center Reads. The first book that I want to talk about is called Salt Houses by Hala Alyan. She's a Palestinian poet, and this is actually her debut novel, which I very highly recommend to anybody that likes historical fiction. If you know me, you know how much I enjoy reading historical fiction. I think it does a beautiful job of immersing you in a culture. And in this particular novel, she is writing about the Yaqub family across 4 generations that have been displaced from Palestine, and looking at how culture is transmitted from one generation to another, and also how culture is lost over that time. Ultimately, what she's asking is, what does home mean, and what does belonging mean? And she does it in a very elegant and subtle way, and so I do very much recommend this book to anybody. The second book is called Slow Violence and the Environmentalism of the Poor by Nixon. I picked up and put down this book so many times before my sabbatical because it's not the type of thing that you can read cover to cover. It at times can be a very difficult read because it's trying to get at a phenomenon which he terms slow violence, that captures certain things that are done, certain actions that have really long-term cumulative effects that we don't always think of as violent. And so I want to read you a short piece of a vignette from the introduction of the book, and that helps to really capture what slow violence means. He says, "Places like the Marshall Islands subjected between 1948 and 1958 to 67 American atmospheric nuclear tests, the largest of them equal in force to 1,000 Hiroshima-sized bombs. In 1956, the Atomic Energy Commission declared the Marshall Islands by far the most contaminated place in the world. Well into the 1980s, its history of nuclear colonialism, long forgotten by the colonizers, was still delivering into the world jellyfish babies, headless, eyeless, limbless human infants who would live for just a few hours." And so, like I said, it can be a little bit difficult to read, but I think it's really important for us to be able to think about what are the long-term impacts of actions that are taken, especially environmental actions, and how those impact the poor, and that's the primary subject of his book. The third, which I'm actually only halfway through at this point, is The Education of an Idealist, which is a memoir by Samantha. She is the former ambassador to the United Nations under the Obama administration. And it's a really interesting book that does a nice job of combining the intellectual development of Samantha with the historical narrative of various humanitarian crises, including the conflict in Bosnia, Rwanda, Syria, and Libya, along with a personal account of her life and her upbringing. And so what I really like about it is that she can explain very nicely through her own development how she came to be a really principled idealist. Really simply, what that means is she believes that the United States should use its power to intervene and to alleviate suffering in cases of humanitarian crisis. And so when she was working in the Obama administration, she's chronicling how it can be difficult to have this really principled stance in an environment that's not always receptive to those types of ideas. It's also nice to just read a memoir by a powerful woman. It can be really inspiring, and I figure it won't hurt in terms of demolishing Dr. Bosco in the next Lady Bosco Smackdown. So those are my 3 books, and I thank you for watching.